Thanks for tuning in, everybody, and welcome again to the Rob and Mike Show. As always, that's Rob.
That's Mike.
We just want to thank you so much for tuning in again. Thank you for all the support, you guys. Thanks for following us. Please, you know what? Make sure you share the video today. How about that? We're going to do something different. Share our video with your Facebook friends so that you can enrich their lives.
Bring us joy. Spread the joy of Rob and Mike.
Take us to the people, for they are in need.
How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. Really excited about this episode. We haven't done like a tier list episode in a while.
It's been a couple.
I'm excited about this, and we talking before pre-show. You were mentioning there was a big thing going around online right now, kind of aging yourself by talking about first concert you ever went to.
The first concert you ever went to. There's this thing of because there are always those and I know like some of them you're not supposed to do because they're just like
that's your password.
Yeah, it's like your password.
By the way, if your password is the first concert you went to, that's just dumb to answer that. You know why I don't mind answering those? Because none of those are ever my passwords. But
I never. Yeah, no, I don't. Those I don't.
My street address is never. My first street I lived on is never my password. No.
But you know what? But those are the standard ones that they put in for the security questions.
Yeah.
So that's really easy to like reset a password. Yeah. But I still I don't answer a lot of those.
No.
Just because I'm like, well, that's not. You don't need to know that about me.
So, but to go with that, my first concert, I'm trying to remember. It was either Paul Simon, or it was a B96 bash. And I think
my gosh, B96.
Yeah, but here's a bad segue. This is leading to our topic, which is our top 5 favorite concerts we've gone to. And ironically, or maybe unironically, 2 of my top 5, I was with you.
Isn't it funny how that happens? But probably because we go to most of our concerts together.
So, what was your first concert? Just go with the theme.
My very, very first concert.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not. So it's a two-part. It's a two-part answer because, my very, very first concert. I don't consider my very, very first concert, but it was my very, very first concert.
It's something your parents took you to.
It was like a school trip to the Chicago Symphony Orchestra. Which I don't know if you count that.
Oh God, then yeah, my very first concert was something like that.
Right, like something weird like that. I don't know. See, that's really hard. Do you count those? But I think that my very first concert that I could say I went to a concert, and this, let me just say, I was very, very young to be at this concert. It wasn't like an age appropriate concert, but it was in a way very age appropriate because it was a very clean band. But my very first one was Peter, Paul and Mary.
Oh, okay, nice.
Which was super, super cool. And it was right during that period of time too. And this is going to date me, and I don't even care because it was super cool. But it was right during that period of time where like Puff the Magic Dragon was like huge.
Yes.
It does totally date me. But it was kind of magical, and that was it. Peter, Paul and Mary and it's actually it's on my list because it was great. I mean, we were and it was cool. It wasn't a. It was at the Chicago Symphony, the hall, the orchestra. It was at Orchestra Hall.
Okay.
And they did so much of their concert was just like them and a guitar. I don't think, and it was really, when you listen to Peter, Paul and Mary, they're not like rock star looking folks or anything like that, but they were ridiculously good singers. Like there was so much of why they were so great was because they were. Was because of that, and that being said, I'm going to put Peter, Paul, and Mary in at my number 5, just so you know. But it was really great.
But here's another interesting thing why this is a topic today. A friend of mine on Facebook posted to make all of you feel really old. It is the 30th anniversary of the original Lollapalooza tour in Chicago.
I saw that. Yeah, Lollapalooza
1991, the first Lollapalooza. Yeah, the first Lollapalooza. Now, I did not go to the first one. I went to the second one, I believe, at the World Music Theater, which God knows what it's called now. It's changed names, 9,654 times.
The first Lollapalooza was in Grant Park. Is that right?
I think they were still in the suburbs at that point. I don't think they moved to Grant Park until later on. But please don't quote me on that.
I don't remember. So I know I know that I was at the second Lollapalooza because I was there with you.
Well, that's the one with they had Ice Cube and Soundgarden. That's where they did the cover of Body Count's Cop Killer, right?
I think so. That was also the one? No, oh God, because we went. Wait, didn't we go to Lollapalooza twice?
I've only been to.
I went to Lollapalooza twice in a year, I think. Because there was a couple of years where I went. I think there was a couple of years in a row when I went to Lollapalooza more than once. Gosh, but yeah,
just to make all you feel old out there, who was probably our demographic watching this,
all of you, that was 30 years ago.
So so that's kind of why we're on this topic, because it's been really relevant on social media, and it's fun to talk about because it's something I'm really looking forward to coming back because things are getting better.
Do you remember? So this is totally off topic.
Yes.
But, so Rob, this was 2 or 3 years ago. You got tickets for Janet Jackson.
Yes, which is going to be on my list.
Okay, and we
had to wait a year.
We had to wait a year
because she got preggo
for that show. We had to wait a year
because she got preggo.
So before we get, she got pregnant, and so they were like, okay, tour is on hold, and we're like, well, are they going to cancel? And they were like, nope, and then it was back on, and we were like, Anyway, so so Peter, Paul, and Mary coming in at number 5.
Oh, that is official.
That's my official number 5.
Okay,
what's your?
I'm going to put Smashing Pumpkins on my number 5, and not early Smashing Pumpkins because I didn't really get to see them much when they were a garage band, but I got to see them later in life in the, I want to say like 96 or something like that, and went with a really good friend to the Rosemont, or whatever it's called, Allstate Arena, whatever it's called. If you grew up there, you probably still call it the Rosemont. And it was seeing Smashing Pumpkins in such a big arena. I was with a really good friend, and it was an awesome show. This is still at their prime height before they broke up, and Billy Corgan decided to do a re-version of Smashing Pumpkins, which was just horrible, and then coming out to be the big douchebag that he is. Even though I still love Smashing Pumpkins, but yeah, that's going to be my number 5.
Isn't that weird? There was being from Chicago during I imagine it during the prime of the Smashing Pumpkins era like that, because you've got like what I don't even know, that style of rock coming out of like the Midwest at the same time that like you've got grunge starting out here in Seattle, and so it was a really for the alternative music scene or for the alt rock scene, you had a lot of choices, and you had there were some different directions. Yeah. Rock and roll was weird back then. You could really fine tune what you wanted to, like what your rock and roll was.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
I think it's all rock and roll, but you could really get down to the sort of the minutia of I like this. So really, that was Chicago was a hotbed back then.
Oh yeah.
I cannot imagine what Seattle must have been like during the grunge years.
Oh, during Nirvana and all that?
Yeah, because it wasn't, they did so many, what is this?
They decided to mess with our screensaver.
That's right. Well, okay.
Back to the aquarium. Oh, well.
WGU, that would be a check for $50,000, please.
For breaking into our show. So you're number 4.
Oh, okay. Oh, gosh, number 4. So just so you guys know, we were like, yeah, let's... And because I'm having a hard time, I really did not prep these out.
This is kind of on the fly episode.
But one of the things, and so I'm like, okay, number 4 of all the shows, Peter, Paul, and Mary, and then I'm gonna have to say, man, my 4th favorite is gonna be James Taylor.
Wow, you're sticking with the folk music so far.
Yeah. James Taylor's
which I heard him live is amazing.
It really is. It was so.
And
James
for the fact that he's still performing and writing and still, at the age of 900.
Yeah, I don't know how old. I mean, he's. Yeah, when they talk about baby shakes. James Taylor. No, so it was really okay. So funny story. So a buddy of mine, his dad. Something came up business-wise or something like that, and his dad couldn't go. And we were, I want to say we were probably 16.
Okay.
And at that time, we were probably 25 to 30 years like younger
Than the rest of the crowd.
average crowd. And I remember being 16 and knowing what weed smelled like. And looking around and seeing like everybody who looked like our parents, right? It was just like, okay, everybody here is my, because it was like, because at that time James Taylor fans were our parents, right?
Yeah.
And so I remember looking around like, are all these adults getting high? And my bud looks at me and he's just like, I think all these adults are getting high. And we were just stunned. We were just like, adults get. Did you know that adults are high? What's going on right now?
And I'm sure you guys got a good contact.
Because we were like, we were just like by the bike. Halfway through the concert, I'm pretty sure we were just stoned with everybody. Because we were just, it was just, it was like thick. Like, it was the craziest thing. But James Taylor did, and I kid you not, James Taylor played like a 4.5 hour show. Like, and he's known for that, right? Because he plays like, because what a lot of people don't know about James Taylor is James Taylor not only has like a huge music library himself, but he's written so much for other people.
His catalog is
right.
good.
His catalog is huge. And so he went out and he's known for playing this, but he did a 4.5 hour show and no one left because it was good. It was good from beginning to end. And it was really, a lot of it, like, he'd throw in like a big number here and there, but a lot of his concert was like James Taylor sitting on a chair playing a guitar.
Like if you were sitting at someone's house.
Like, it was. It was really, really, for the size of it, because we were at the World, and for the size of the venue, it was very, very intimate.
Quaint.
Right, it was really super quaint. And this was one of the things that I, as an adult, and you and I have had this conversation, but as an adult, there are certain concerts that you want to pay the $200-300 ticket price for, because you want to be up there.
That's getting mine are, even though I wasn't in those seats, my upper concerts are in that range. Right,
because it is, it's a different, and again, I always say money doesn't buy happiness, but it does change some experiences.
Oh, yes, it does.
And I remember we were up there, it was so. And that makes a huge difference. So yes, and so it was James Taylor, number 4, but it was just it was a really fun experience.
Okay, so
great memory.
My number 4 is on a list, as I mentioned, the concerts with you, and this is one that just you and I went to in Seattle, and it kind of popped in my brain because they just dropped a brand new album this last week, was Garbage.
Oh yeah,
and I've been ever since Stupid Girl came out when we were back in Chicago in like '96 or something. It's one of those bands I just fell in love with the first time I heard them, and did not get to see them until damn near 20 years later in a very small space, not like jam packed, but at the Shoebox Theater, Showbox. Sorry, not Shoebox. You see my sneakerhead side comes out. Showbox Theater. And one, it made it great because I was with this man, but 2, just amazing band for the fact that they're still jamming out. It was a great time. We did kind of be old men at that concert. We did not stay on the floor. We were actually able to find a table. So we kind of old banded a little bit that night.
We said it. Yeah, it was fun. It's we said it. But that was cool too because it was a very intimate theater. It was an intimate space anyway.
Yeah,
smaller club.
And we were close to the bar scene there too, so
it was very cool. It was very much like I don't know. It felt like it was like going to going to concerts when you were younger.
Oh yeah.
In those smaller venues where you're just like, oh, it's a $15 ticket, even though I
don't know what it was, but
it was definitely not a $15
ticket. But
but back in the day when it was just like, all right,
it was just amazing. And like I said, I got to share it with you, and I love that band. And if you have not heard their new album, please check it out. She is amazing, still is beautiful, great voice.
She really can sing.
I know there's a lot, and here's a weird comparison. I kind of compare these two bands because of their lead singers. I do like No Doubt, but Garbage, just when it comes to female-led groups, to me, there's hands down, it's always going to be Garbage for me. And that's nothing against No Doubt, but
I'm with you. Okay.
So your third one.
Okay, number 3 is I have a lot of mine are a lot of them are memory driven.
Yeah.
Obviously, their experiences. So, but my number 3 is going to be I get to, this is like one of those, like, feather in the cap concerts, right? Where you're just like, yeah, well, I got to see, but my number 3 is, I got to see, it was Jane's Addiction. So Jane's Addiction I got to see Jane's Addiction. But during that time, because they were still a very small, sort of just getting recognized Chicago band, but I got to see Smashing Pumpkins open for Jane's Addiction.
Aragon, right?
At the Aragon.
Yes,
yeah.
I forgot who you were with. I was not able to go to that. Was quite jelly.
Yeah, that was what were the few? But yes, that was a group of friends of ours. But yeah, got to see Smashing Pumpkins open for Jane's Addiction. That was the most ridiculously loud, good show. Oh my god, it was just because they went. I mean, Smashing Pumpkins at that time. Because a lot of people kind of came into Smashing Pumpkins with like the Melancholy and the Infinite Madness,
the double album,
the Siamese Twins album. Yeah. It's like wherever. But when you get like before that, and you've got like stuff like Rocket, like when Smashing Pumpkins came out, they were like loud, thrashy, just and there were some they had some really great. I still love them to this day, but but I have known Smashing Pumpkins because they were a local Chicago band that was getting there, and so
you got a 2-for-1.
Right, I got to see them, but I got to see this band that like I had been following on the local scene open for Jane's Addiction. Kidding me?
Yeah.
And at that time, Jane's Addiction was headlining Lollapalooza.
Yeah,
they were huge.
As I said, that is one that I'm very jelly of. I never got to see Jane's Addiction, but at least I got to see the Pumpkins. So
that was the absolute feather in the cap concert. Got to see Smashing Pumpkins open for Jane's Addiction. It was pretty cool.
So my number 3 was really awesome and came out of nowhere. I was living in Vegas, and a group of people I had met through my cousins and stuff. Some very lovely young ladies. I got to go see the Fugees.
Okay, that's my jelly.
And I got to see them at the Hard Rock Hotel in Vegas, and it was weird because the only opener, and I've seen her a couple times now open for a few bands. I believe the DJ's name is DJ Heather.
Okay.
And I've seen her open up in Vegas. I saw her when I saw Luscious Jackson in Chicago, but that was it. There was a DJ and then just the Fugees. And you ever wonder how good a person sings? Like, is that just them being, the soundboard and something like that? And God bless Lauryn Hill. I hope you're doing better. I know you dealt with a lot of issues. I think she almost was better live than on recording. I mean, like, she was... When she came out and did Killing Them Softly, man, and once again, very small venue, maybe 100+ people in there. I was right on the floor, I was 20, so I could be on the floor and not worry about it. And it was just them for like an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours, probably about an hour and a half, and it was just the Fugees. Nothing, no special guests, no nothing. It was just them doing their first 2 albums from the score, and then Nappy Heads, I believe, was their first album, underrated album. If you ever go back in their catalog, check it out. And that was pretty hot.
No, that's
and I've actually got to see. They're one of the few 3 people or groups that I've seen twice. So I got to see them at like it was called like the Smoking Grooves tour back once again at the World Music Theater when it was like 97 acts on one ticket. But
all right. My goodness. I was just thinking about, you forget, like, the vocal, because, I mean, she went through so much stuff, but Lauryn Hill's vocal talent, oh my goodness, like, so that's...
And by the way, Visa owes us $5,000 now, too, because they just popped up.
Thank you. I'll be waiting for that check, thank you. I love that we don't get dinged for things like that. Like YouTube's like, hey guys, no.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're at 2 or
You're two.
Two. Wow. So 2 is going to be a tie for me. And 2 is going to be a tie for me because these were they were both my first, in a way, because it was the same summer, right? And they were like so very close to each other. But these were my first like mega concert.
Yeah.
And so my first mega concert on these 2, the tie is going to be Pearl Jam at Soldier Field, followed by U2 at Soldier Field.
Which is funny, and sorry to cut you off, I believe that was, and it was weird, it was one of those Chicago nights. Wasn't that the night where Pearl Jam, or U2, I can't remember, was at Soldier Field, Prince was at United Center, and Tina Turner was at World Music Theater.
Yeah,
and I believe the Cubs and Sox were both playing that day. It was one of those Chicago days, and I knew someone at like every single concert or event. It was, he just like, I believe it was that concert, and that might have been the U2 one, where just every venue in Chicago was just full of concerts.
Well, because there was a couple things, because that would have been, not to date myself, but that would have been, because that was Zootopia, which was crazy. It was so much fun. But those two, I didn't go to a lot of like mega like big
stadium
concerts.
Yeah.
I think I've probably been to like maybe like, I don't know, like 5 or 6 big stadium concerts. I do like going to the smaller venue concerts. I think it's just more fun, and like it's just less people.
Yeah.
And I think when you go, and to be perfectly honest with you, when you go to a smaller venue, you get the better seats for not $400.
Yes.
So
I understand that.
You know, and you can catch some of your cool bands. Like I have yet to do it, but one of the things that I've always wanted to do, we didn't get to do it last year because of COVID, and then the year before, timing was just really off and life was weird. But I really wanted to do, that Dave Matthews does, because if you don't know, if you live in Seattle, Dave Matthews is a Seattle person, and so there's I forget what it's called. It's like one of those kind of like Red Rocks where it's like it's an amphitheater.
The Gorge.
The Gorge. Thank you.
There we go.
And so he does a Gorge thing every summer. So that's one of the ones that I'm like, I really want to. I have a feeling that that's one of those. That type of like 4-hour or whatever show where everybody's having.
That is definitely when you'll be going without me.
I can see that.
Yes.
And that's one of my hippie folk music.
That's completely okay.
Yeah, go enjoy your...
If James Taylor comes back, I'll go to that one. Dave Matthews, not so much. So that's your two. My 2 and 1 is tough because they're technically my 1A and 1B, but for the sake of this video, I'm going to say my number 2 is the goddess, the queen of rock and roll, none other than Miss Tina Turner. And that concert, I will admit, is the only concert that I have ever bitched out like a 13-year-old girl at a Backstreet Boy concert. I lost my mind. It was right when she did the theme song for GoldenEye, and the back screen was oval, and it came into an eye, and you just saw those legs walking down the stairs, and I screamed. I was like, Tina! Tina! I mean, I lost it. And there were 2 very lovely older ladies sitting next to us on the lawn at, a lot of my concerts at World Music Theater, and they just giggled and just thought I was, like, thought it was precious that just saw this 22-year-old, whatever age I was, just lose his mind. And it's Tina. And the bonus, talk about a bonus, guess who opened up for her?
I can't imagine what would be...
Cyndi Lauper.
Oh, gosh.
So, not only talk about a twofer, you got your twofer?
Man.
So, I got to see in one night Cyndi Lauper and Tina Turner.
That's my jelly one.
You just jelly one.
You just leveled up the jelly.
Oh, yeah. That was amazing. That is, as a memory I hold dear to, and yet, ironically, I'm the opposite of you. Most of my concerts have been bigger venues, but it was amazing. So before we get to our ones, just real quick, I want to put out some honorable mentions that didn't make my list. I'm going to put out some honorable mentions. Okay. Aerosmith, who I've got to see twice.
Okay. Very, very. Okay.
I just had another one, and I just pointed. Oh, Bette Midler, honorable mention, and barely missing the list. A big honorable mention. The Queen of Soul. Much later in life, I saw her in Vegas. Is I have seen Miss Aretha Franklin.
Okay. I have not seen that. I mean, that's a huge one.
Yeah.
That one's huge. Aretha Franklin's big. I don't like, honorable mentions.
I'm sure I have some more, but I just wanted to list
I've probably got like a few that I can be like,
throw in a Shaka Khan there for me,
There's a couple that I know are like right here, and I'm like,
Haven't you actually seen Dave Matthews though before?
I have.
Wouldn't that? I would guess that would.
I've seen him. So I saw him at the World.
Okay,
I saw him.
that's
Right,
being honorable,
which was
mention.
that was it was good. It was good. It wasn't.
Well, that's why I said honorable mention, not making you.
That was when those experiences that kind of get ruined because you're with the wrong people.
Yes.
Okay. It was really fun. I just like
Wrong crew.
wrong crew, wrong.
Okay.
But I will say it was good. Janet, I was with you. That was awesome. Like I would say that was probably my number 6. That was really pretty amazing. And it was, and I think the only reason it really isn't on my list because it was so recent is just like, yeah, we just did that. That was cool.
And see, what you're going to laugh is that's going to be
right. But yeah, but I mean, like my list kind of like it's specified, but like my.
And what's funny is we do this video 2-3 months from now. My list
probably might
change.
May change.
But number 1, as I just said, because I spoiled it, my number 1 is Janet because personally, I never thought I'd ever get to see her, and then we got this opportunity, and as Mike said, then had to wait a whole year later and talk about the people you were with. Didn't
even think it was going to happen.
Yeah, didn't think it was going to happen. Thought we were going to get our money back. I bought T-shirts for us. They got returned because it was off-brand off of Amazon. You also check. And so everything thought I was just like, this is just all going to fall to pieces.
It was a fun show.
And then it happened, and we'll talk about the group you're with. And to me, it was church. Like, I did not lose it like Tina, but I was up. She did If, and like, I needed a cigarette after her concert. Let's just say it that way. Like,
it was really good.
It was awesome. And I think it is a cumulative of everything that happened, of it almost not happening, that just kind of skyrocketed for me because, like I said, didn't know I'd ever see her. Had a chance, got canceled, shirts canceled. A year later, like all that summer, we're waiting to hear, and for the fact that it finally came, yeah, it was just It's a whole. It's not only just Janet; it was the whole experience. So that's why it ends up on my number 1 list. Number 1 on my list. Yes, I can speak English.
I like it.
I'm curious for your number 1. Are we going big or small this?
Oh no, very 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 small. So my number 1 I'm torn. I'm having a hard because it's small venue stuff. I think I'm gonna go.
Ooh, this is
I am really having a hard one. Right, I am. I'm really having a hard time with this one. I'm gonna go. Okay. I don't know. I
say both.
My brain wants to say Metallica.
Okay. But your heart wants to say.
My brain wants to say Metallica, but my heart really wants to say AC/DC. I'm gonna go. It's Metallica.
Okay.
And the reason for it being is that the Metallica concert was the first time when I was at the Metallica concert. It was the first time that I'd ever heard the song Sanitarium.
Okay.
And I didn't really know anything about Metallica when I went to a Metallica concert. I was not familiar with Metallica at all. And I was not expecting to enjoy it.
Okay.